on consensus governance. So those are easy when it's subjective. What's the temperature in Helsinki at 4 p.m. yesterday? That's very obvious. It's either this temperature or not. You can deviate by some degree, but no one will say that it's negative 20 degrees Celsius yesterday during summertime, mid-summertime in Helsinki. So it's very easy for coded governance to happen when it's objective. But what about when it's subjective? What about when there is no right answer to that? You need consensus governance. So this is where it's not automated. You have more human input in it. And there are many, many ways to do that. One way could be a different layer of governance. So we talked about legislations just now. When we talk about in the real world, you've got high court, family court, criminal court, subordinate court, all the different kind of courts available. And likewise, you can bring that kind of concept into your token ecosystem, and you have different types of governance. So it can be direct governance, because some people have governance tokens, or it could be different layers, different DAOs, DAOs, so decentralized autonomous organizations that they come together to form a type of governance. So in case of external force, in case of something happens, these different organizations act like different types of courts trying to resolve problems. So maybe in MakerDAO's example, you have 4 different layers of governance, 4 different types of people in charge of different things, and one will be, because MakerDAO is a coin that is pegged to US dollar. One DAI is $1 US. And what happens when DAI becomes too high or too low? Then you have a governance that deals with that. What happens because you're pegged to USD? What happens when USD goes crazy? Then you're pegged it. And then that group of governance comes in to resolve that. What happens when the whole financial system collapses? That's it. Not just USD, but all around the world collapse. What happens? So that's the other form of governance comes in to resolve that problem. So one example is you can have different types of governance to resolve that. You can do this based on the different expertise of people, or you can do it based as just a decentralized organization and allow people to just come in. Another example would be when you're talking about like news curation, then you have based on the different expertise in the field. So maybe one is in the US market, one's in the China market, one is in the economy of the world, one is in geopolitics, one is in sports. And you have this boards of authorities or key personnel, key expert personnel coming in together to form governance to help to resolve problems when problems arise. The other thing is also, how do we want to increase honest interaction with participants? Because there's something very important. How do we, if people are honest, then that's a very good way to get consensus. And honest interaction, that's something that we talked about 2 lessons ago when we talk about incentive compatibility. How do we want to make sure that people are honest with each other, and then they don't cheat, and they don't cheat their peers, right? So there are 3 examples. The first one is token curated registries. The second is conviction voting, which is very new. And the third is design. You can have different design details. So token curated registries are decentralized registries, decentralized lists where people can vote and put their things up there. So what do I mean? So let's say if I say, let's have the best pizza in Milan, and it's a decentralized list. If you want to vote pizza, John's Pizza, you stake your tokens and then you vote it. And then if someone disagrees with the vote, they can challenge you. And this is where consensus mechanism comes in. Your challenge is taken up to a governance, one of the layers of governance, and then you try to resolve that and see if John's Pizza is the best or not, and goes back to the decentralized list. So this is how it works. And you can do like every Wednesday there'll be a voting on token curated registries to get the best pizza. That's one way, but it's very easy to cheat. And it's slightly less easy to cheat than what the systems that we have now, where you can fake reviews. But it's also easy to cheat when you have a lot of tokens, and then you just keep, every time there's a fight, you have money to keep fending off people. The other thing is conviction voting. It's like an evolution from token curated registries. And conviction voting is an ongoing, continuous vote. So every time you have to keep broadcasting your vote broadcasting your option. So every time you have to keep saying that John's Pizza is the best pizza in Milan, and I'm staking this amount. And then the next round, you have to keep voting and keep saying that so that now you have more stake in the game, and then you're incentivized to keep getting there, and also this is where you can build consensus with people, and this is where human interaction comes in. The other thing is also design details, so you can have very simple stuff like you can have a blacklist or blacklist of shops pizzerias that are really, really bad, bad reviews, no one votes for them, and as long as you're one of the list, you can be on the token curated registries, or whitelist, maybe not for pizza, but whitelist for information, like which news source is the best, and then you can whitelist some of them because they are just generally very neutral. So these are some consensus mechanisms that are put in place that's not automated. And of course, you have your usual consensus protocols like your proof of stake, proof of work, proof of importance, proof of authority, proof of influence. There's so many different proof protocols available to achieve consensus. And this is where human comes in. And all of these, these are all ways to get consensus with each other in a more curated form. And then this is like layer one, and then layer two is the kind of consensus mechanisms and protocols you want to put in place. So it could be one person, it could be proof of stake, proof of work, or whatever that you have that's suitable for your system.